The amplifier below was purchased from Aliexpress, and there are a few sellers with the same design with two variants. This one was with the external power supply, marketed as an upgrade with higher power. The design is marketed as a copy of the Naim NAP250 with a heatsink inside the main enclosure and no ventilation. The input power to the board provides a dual 42-volt DC power input. A speaker protection board with a relay is mounted just behind the heatsink. Measurements were taken with a Motu M2 audio interface, which has a reported distortion noise floor around 129 decibels. The amplifier output was measured into an 8-ohm resistive load. First, starting at 1 watt output, the total distortion was 0.084%. It was dominated by second, third, and higher odd order harmonics. This distortion profile compares somewhat with the published measurements of the NAP250, but the levels are much higher. The published report shows the second-order harmonic around -98 decibels and third-order around 95 decibels. Moving to 10 watts output, the distortion levels remained pretty similar, but actually decreased slightly to 0.059%. The profile of the distortion is still similar, but the fourth harmonic starts to become more noticeable, and third harmonic is still highest. The power supply hum at 60 Hz is very low. However, the harmonic of it at 120 Hz is measured at around 85 decibels. At 31 watts, the amp begins to obviously clip on the output waveform, and so measurements were taken just before clipping. The maximum clean output was 30 watts, with 84.7 decibels of noise plus distortion. This is drastically lower than the published output of 150 watts into 8 ohms. Taking a look at the square wave outputs, it confirms this is an AC coupled design, and overall the output looks clean with some DC low frequency roll-off. Note, the ringing shown here is just an artifact of the measuring sample rate. The internals are similar to what others have shown online. It is possible that this amp is being limited by the selection of parts or construction. I don't know if the parts used are matching those specified in the original design or if they are even authentic. It is not clear if the amp is correctly biased, but considering it does not get very hot even in a sealed enclosure, it is likely biased too low considering the low output power as well. One last thing I noticed is that it is really strange to see the output wires from the amp running under the protection board, with no connections made to the screw terminals. This looks very suspicious at first. Did they just put a non-functional board for show here? But it turns out not. Looking underneath, this protection board is indeed wired in. I have seen another review online showing this amp has a lot of DC offset output when powered up, and I confirmed this is not detected and the relay clicks, so it seems this is working.